My dad's wife is only 6 years older than me, and she wants me to call her mom. Yeah, you heard that right. Imagine being 25 years old, showing up at a casual family dinner, and suddenly the woman who married your dad, who, by the way, is just 6 years older than you, proudly introduces you to everyone as our son. The whole room went silent. I swear you could hear forks clinking against plates. People glanced at me, then back at her, like they were trying to solve some math problem in their heads. And all I could think was, did she just say I'm her son? She's 31. I'm 25. What planet are we on? And the kicker? My dad just smiled, nodded, like everything was totally normal. Like he hadn't just put me in the world's most awkward position in front of strangers. Let me back up a bit. My parents divorced when I was 16. It wasn't pretty, but I lived mostly with my mom, and she's always been my rock. My dad and I, our relationship has been, okay, we weren't super close, but we kept in touch. Last May, my dad got remarried. His new wife? She seemed fine at first. Friendly. She tried to include me, invited me to dinners, movie nights, little family activities. And honestly, I appreciated the effort. I thought, cool, maybe this won't be weird. But then came the introductions. The first time she dropped the line, "This is our son," I laughed nervously, thinking she'd correct herself. She didn't. She doubled down. And every time since, it's been the same thing. When I pulled her aside, told her it made me uncomfortable, she smiled and said, "I just want us to bond. Isn't it sweet?" Sweet? Number creepy? Absolutely. Because here's the thing, I already have a mom. A damn good one. She raised me. She's still a huge part of my life. This woman, she came into the picture last year when I was already a full-grown adult. When I told my dad how I felt, he brushed it off. Come on, it makes her happy. Just go along with it. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? Everyone I've talked to says it's insane. I mean, one of my friends literally said, "Bro, she's only 6 years older than you. She's not your mother. You owe her nothing." And honestly, they're right. But my dad doesn't see it that way. To him, it's harmless. To me, it feels like she's trying to erase my mom, and I can't just smile through that, so I told her, if she keeps doing this, I'm not coming around anymore. Now she's mad. My dad's mad. And I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the crazy one. Would you let it slide, or would you draw the line like I did? After that dinner, things between us got tense. I tried to let it go, but the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It wasn't just a slip-up. She was making a choice every single time she introduced me like that. So the next weekend, I went over to my dad's place. I figured maybe I should explain it more clearly, so there'd be no confusion. We sat down in the living room, and I said straight up, "Look, I'm not okay with being introduced as your son. I already have a mom. She's a huge part of my life, and nothing will change that." Her face immediately fell. She gave me this wounded look, like I had just slapped her. "I wasn't trying to replace your mother," she said softly. I want us to feel like a family. I thought it would make things less awkward." Less awkward? I almost laughed. Lady, calling someone 6 years younger than you your son is the definition of awkward. But before I could respond, my dad cut in. "Son, it's not a big deal. She's just trying to bond with you. Why can't you let her?" And that's when I lost it a little. Because it's not true, Dad. It's weird. She's 31. I'm 25. Do you not realize how insane that sounds? He rolled his eyes, muttered something about me being dramatic. And she sat there with tears in her eyes, whispering, "I just want to be included." For a second, I felt guilty. But then I remembered what one of my friends had said the night before. She's making herself ridiculous to everyone by saying that. Just calmly correct her. Tell people, "I'm my dad's son from his first marriage." End of story. And honestly, that made sense. I don't have to play along. I don't have to help her build this fake image. So I told them, from now on, if she introduces me like that, I'm going to correct her publicly. My dad slammed his hand on the table. "Don't embarrass her like that." "Then tell her to stop embarrassing herself," I shot back. The air got so heavy I swear I could feel my chest tightening. She sniffled, whispered again, I only wanted to bond. But here's the thing. Bonding isn't forcing a role on someone they don't want. Bonding is respecting boundaries, and if she can't do that, then maybe there's nothing to bond over. As I left, my dad muttered behind me, "You're being too strict." Strict? Number setting boundaries? Absolutely. But maybe I am being harsh. Maybe I should just swallow it, pretend it doesn't bother me. That's what my dad wants. Would you keep correcting her, even if it meant blowing up the whole relationship? A couple of weeks later, I decided to give them another chance. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe if I just showed up, kept things light, she'd get the hint and stop. Spoiler, she didn't. It was a small get-together at their apartment. A few friends of theirs, some neighbors, even a couple of relatives I barely knew. I walked in, grabbed a drink, and within 10 minutes it happened. She stood up, all smiles, and announced, "Everyone, this is our son." The room went dead quiet. Again. One of the guests, a middle-aged lady, blinked and said, "Wait, how old were you when you had him?" I almost choked on my soda. My face burned. The math didn't add up, and everyone in that room knew it. I tried to keep it polite, smiled awkwardly and said, "Actually, I'm Jack's son from his first marriage." But she laughed nervously, touched my shoulder, and doubled down. "Oh, but he's my son too." I swear I saw people exchanging looks like, what the hell is going on here? That's when it clicked. She wasn't just saying this out of habit. She wanted people to believe this story. Like she was rewriting history to erase my mom, to cover up the fact that she's basically my age. Later in the kitchen, I pulled her aside. "You've got to stop. People think it's creepy. They're literally asking if you were 5 when you gave birth to me. Do you realize how ridiculous that sounds?" Her smile vanished. "You don't understand," she hissed. "People judge me for the age difference with your father. They think I'm just some young trophy wife. If I present us as a family, it makes me look normal." Normal? By pretending she had a baby at 6 years old? That was the moment I realized this wasn't about me. It was about her image. She was embarrassed. And instead of dealing with it, she was trying to drag me into her cover story. I remembered something a Redditor said in a thread I read. "She's not your mother. She met you when you were already grown. You don't owe her a fake title to make her feel better." And honestly, that stuck. So the next time she did it, I promised myself I wouldn't stay quiet. Because if she wanted to play this game, I was done playing along. What would you do in that moment? Bite your tongue or call her out in front of everyone? It all came to a head at a family barbecue a few weeks later. My dad was grilling in the backyard, beers were flowing, and honestly, I thought maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. Spoiler again, it wasn't. We had neighbors over, some cousins, even my dad's old coworkers. It was a decent crowd. Everything was chill until, right on cue, she raised her glass and said, "And this is my son." The words hung in the air like smoke from the grill. I saw a couple of people squint, whispering to each other. One guy actually mouthed, "What?" And in that split second, I just snapped. I turned to her and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Wow, so you must have been 6 years old when Dad knocked you up?" The entire backyard went silent. Then, laughter. Bursts of it. A few people literally doubled over. Someone coughed beer out their nose. Her face went bright red. She looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. My dad froze mid-flip with a burger on the spatula, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. But me? For the first time in weeks, I felt relief. Because let's be real, she needed to hear how insane it sounded. Everyone was already thinking it. I just said it out loud. One of my cousins even clapped me on the back and whispered, "Dude, finally, that was hilarious." Another neighbor muttered, "She should just introduce herself as your dad's wife." This whole mom act is embarrassing. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just in my head. Everyone else saw it too. It wasn't me being strict or dramatic. It was her making a fool of herself and dragging me with her. She stormed off inside, slamming the sliding door so hard it rattled the windows. My dad followed, red-faced, muttering something about me being disrespectful. But as I stood there, watching everyone else go back to their food and drinks, I realized something. Maybe this wasn't just about respect. Maybe it was about control. She wanted to control the narrative, and my dad was letting her. And I was done being part of the cover story. Would you have clapped back the same way? Or would you have swallowed the cringe just to keep the peace? The second that barbecue was over, I knew I was in for it. My phone buzzed nonstop that night. Texts from my dad, guilt-trippy emojis from his wife, even a couple of "you went too far" messages from relatives. But honestly, I slept like a baby for the first time in weeks. The next day, though, my dad showed up at my place. He didn't knock gently. He pounded on the door like the cops. The second I opened it, he was already going off. How could you humiliate her like that? In front of everyone? Do you have any idea how disrespectful you sounded? I crossed my arms. Disrespectful? Dad, she's the one disrespecting me. I've asked her, begged her, to stop introducing me like that. She ignored me, over and over. What was I supposed to do? Just let her keep lying? She wasn't lying, he snapped. She's trying to make this family work, and you, he jabbed a finger at me, you made her cry. That stung a little. I'm not heartless, but I wasn't about to back down. Dad, she's 31. I'm 25. You do realize how insane this whole thing looks, right? People literally thought she had me at 6 years old. That's not family bonding, that's delusional. For a second, I thought he'd actually hear me, but then his face hardened. His voice dropped, cold and sharp. If I have to choose, I'll choose my wife. I froze. My chest felt like it collapsed inward. Did he just say that? All the air seemed to get sucked out of the room. This wasn't just about introductions anymore. This was about loyalty, about where I stood in his life. I swallowed hard. So you'd throw away your relationship with your own son to protect her pretending I'm something I'm not? He didn't answer. He just stared at me, jaw tight, like I was the problem. And that's when it hit me. I could keep fighting this battle, keep begging for basic respect, or I could walk away. I remembered one comment I read online. My stepmother pulled the same thing. My father chose her over me, and we went no contact. Sometimes the only boundary they understand is distance. And for the first time, that didn't sound crazy. It sounded peaceful. So I told my dad, if that's how you feel, maybe you and I shouldn't see each other for a while. He glared at me, but he didn't stop me when I closed the door. Behind it, I could still hear him muttering, "You're being too strict." Strict, that word again. Like respecting myself was some kind of crime. Would you have walked away right then, or kept fighting for your parent to put you first? It's been a couple of weeks since that fight, and honestly, I feel lighter. I haven't been back to my dad's place, and I haven't answered his wife's texts. My mom's checked in on me a lot, and for the first time in a long time, I realize how grateful I am that she never tried to control me, never demanded I play pretend for her sake. The more I think about it, the clearer it gets. This was never about family bonding. It was about image. My dad's wife was embarrassed by their age gap. Instead of owning it, she tried to rewrite history, and I was supposed to be the prop in her play. And my dad, instead of protecting me, instead of respecting my boundaries, he told me to suck it up. Worse, he flat out said he'd choose her over me. That's not just disappointing, that's devastating. I keep replaying that barbecue in my head. The way the neighbors laughed, the way she stormed inside, the way my dad looked at me like I was the villain. And you know what? If I had to do it again, I'd say the exact same thing. Because if you don't laugh at the absurdity, you cry at the betrayal. One comment I saw online said it best. She's not your mother. She met you when you were grown. You don't owe her a fake title to make her feel better. That's the truth. I don't owe anyone the right to erase my mom. And maybe one day my dad will realize what he's throwing away. Maybe one day he'll see that in trying to keep the peace with his wife, he destroyed the peace with his son. But until then, I'm done being part of the charade. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather have no relationship with my dad than one where I have to lie about who my mom is just to make someone else feel better. So yeah, I drew my line, and I'm standing by it. Now I want to know what you think. Would you cut off your parent if they chose a partner who disrespected your boundaries? Or would you swallow your pride, play along, and pretend it doesn't bother you?